This is the
Unpopular Opinion. We're real,
we're raw,
and we're saying it all. So the topic we're doing today is something that we've tagged pays to be brave. So it's really about risk taking. Our special guest, for one, has has some experience in taking risks, and I think even us as a group, as the Unpopular Opinion, have taken some considerable risks in career, in love, in a couple of different things, and we're just going to jump into that and what that means. And this isn't, I know it's a panel of just women, but this isn't a topic that is necessarily, limited to just women. So please, gentlemen, feel free to be involved and with us, because we don't discriminate here. Okay, so I am going to let us introduce ourselves like kidogo too, because I don't want to assume that everybody knows all of us. I'm Fiona Kemi. I go by Fiona Kemi on the gram. I'm a content creator and a comms specialist. And on a paper somewhere in a briefcase, it says I'm a lawyer, so there's that. Okay.
Hi everyone, I'm Claire, the boss babe, original. I am a Montessori trained teacher. I am a practicing teacher. I am a school head. I am a business coach. I am now a show host. I am a mom, I'm wife, a lot of things.
Okay. Go ahead, Murugi.
Yeah. Okay, hi everyone. Can you hear me? Okay, so my name is Murugi Munyi. I am Kenyan, first of all. Is there any other Kenyan in here? Or am I the only one?
Hey, over there.
Hey girl, tupatane nyuma ya tent. None of you have understood what I've said.
No,
Except you've understood.
Have you? Yeah, so I'm a Kenyan. I am a content creator, a social media influencer, an entrepreneur, a podcaster as well. I have a podcast called the TMI Podcast. And I am here as a guest to the Unpopular Opinion, also a personal friend to Claire, but now to everybody else on this stage because they're such phenomenal women. And I'm excited to be here.
Yay.
Hi everyone, my name is Prim and I'm an influencer.
Woo!
That still doesn't make sense. I'm a creative, but I'm also a civil servant, despite of how I dress. I know it's very contradictory. It's very contradictory, but I'm also a civil servant. And what else am I? I don't want to scare you guys with a CV, but yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for coming. I'm very happy to see all of you. And I can't wait to see you, after the show and even during the show. I hope we interact. I hope you guys enjoy this as much as, we want to enjoy it. And thank you so much for all your support.
Yeah, she didn't want to scare you guys because Prim Gola over there. Like, apart from being our resident glazed donut, aka Chindas, among other things. But let's jump right into this topic. So when we're thinking about what it means to be brave, to risk it all, we thought, there's kind of like different areas of life, right? It's not just like it's not really general. There's different areas of your life that you're going to try and be brave in and take risks in. And we wanted to talk about, okay, now I'm feeling like, but we're still not excluding you gentlemen, but just like as a woman in the 21st century, as women who are, kind of living in the spotlight, it's a risk. It's actually a risk. Like every day you're risking a little bit of something, sharing the world with yourself in ways that other people don't. And that means some things. That means something. It means good things. It means bad things. But let me talk to Murugi first, okay? Because Murugi I feel like you've set up a space on your platforms where you just say what you're saying. As in you say what you're saying, and the people who are annoyed, let them be annoyed. Whether it's sex or body image, you're just like, this is what it is. This is how I feel. This is who I am. This is what I've done. And it's all good. And I feel like why? I want to just start with why did you choose that for you as Murugi Munyi, you're just going to be saying it as it is, and the rest of you guys will be kawa.
Yeah. Okay, so for those of you who follow me, then you know that on my platform, people say that I overshare or that I'm over vulnerable or I oversay things that other people don't usually talk about, like sex or body image, or a way that people think is too much, but to me is not too much. And the interesting thing about you know what you call risking it all. I feel like to other people it seems like it's a lot, but to me, the way I share my content comes so naturally to me that I never feel like I'm actually risking anything. Because when I started my platform, as I was mentioning to you guys yesterday, I did it because there was some kind of content that I was craving to see online that when I went online, I couldn't find. I wanted to see someone who just living, just like, okay, that's Kiswahili word, a normal life. I was going to say kawaida life. That's like normal, yeah? It was just, I wanted to see like someone else is going through the struggles of everyday life of being a mom or, you know, struggling with like new marriage or, you know, body issues or breastfeeding or periods, like ordinary everyday struggles. And I couldn't find that kind of content. So I became that kind of content too, like to myself, because I knew that there was a space there. And it was more, the more vulnerable I was, the more I was like that risking it all, the more powerful I felt. Because whereas other people see us like, oh, but don't you feel like people can take advantage of, you know, of you, or like now, you know, come at you and whatnot. But I'm like, they can only come at me for things I have shared with them. You know, it's only I'm in my power when I am vulnerable because I'm the one who has chosen to share this. And on the other side, sometimes people can feel like they know everything about you, but really they only know what you have chosen to show them, you know? And so for me, when I go online, anything that I share, it's something which I've thought I'm comfortable with other people knowing. And you'll find that these topics that people say are like, oh, shh, you know, kind of thing. It's like, okay, no one wants to talk about sex, yet everyone is having sex. So really, it's very confusing. It's like, oh, we don't have to talk about sex before marriage, you're all fornicating. But when it comes to talking about it on Instagram, that's where we are drawing the line. But doing it, everyone is doing it, you know? So really, people, it's a double standard. So people judge you for things that they themselves are talking about. But because you have the platform, then it seems like you're risking it all. But are you even? Are you even?
That's like an interesting take. You know, like, are you even? Because you're comfortable. And let me go to Prim as well, because that's how like I've told Prim for a long time that she's kind of the Murugi of UG. Because she's also just like unapologetic about sharing what she has chosen to share. And just like, same question, but to you, Prim. Why have you chosen the things that you've chosen to share?
For me, I felt like I was taking away power from these things. The things that I used to be probably ashamed of, I'm taking away power from the shame. Like, you cannot come and use these things against me. Maybe then, but not anymore. So when I talk about things, it's because these are things that once shamed me. They once made me feel a certain way. And when I'm vulnerable, for example, when I sit down with someone, you may feel like, oh my God, she's oversharing. Why is she telling me all these things, blah, blah, blah. But I was like, there's nothing new under the sun. And if you choose to go and talk about this, for example, as gossip or as using it as, you know, to hurt me or hurt another person, honestly, that's on you. That's on you. So personally, I don't even think so much into these things when I'm like probably talking about periods or talking about body image or talking about myself, talking about my partner, talking about my background and, you know, how I grew up. I feel like you can no longer come to me and say, twamulaba yali mwavu yakulira wali. You get, I take away that power from you because you can't. You can't. Like, shame on you. Right? That's really shame on you.
Okay, so for the boss babe, right? The woman over, you've had her CV, right? As in, she's XYZ and all the other letters. So why have you taken all of those risks? What's your why?
You know, when I started out, this has always been me. I've always been very confident. I've always been an oversharer, always. I find discomfort in secret, you know. And if I make sure I'm around people that I can share my entire life story with, you know, without judging. And if I can't, you're not that person, I'm not going to be around you. Why? Because I don't like hiding, you know. Yes, we've all been through life. Who hasn't? Yes, we've all, you know. So when I started Be Your Own Boss Babe, I was looking to help people who were like me. I was my own target audience. Because when I started out, let's say in business, it started out as a business thing. It's still a business thing, but now I share a lot about my personal life and stuff. But it's still very much to do with empowering women to be financially independent. Yeah, to stop the looking for the rich man. If you want the rich man, but also get for your own money. If you want, I mean, it's not by force. But a lot of Ugandan women, we don't know how to do it. We don't know. I didn't. I had to figure my way out. But
Can I just say, like she always tells us, I don't know if you guys know this, that it took her, 4 years to figure out this particular thing that she wanted to do.
Oh, 10.
10?
Yeah, I've been doing business since I was like 20.
Okay.
I'm 32. You know, so I've done so many things, and I'm in my life, I was the only business person I knew. Does that make sense? So I have self-taught, but it has been a struggle. I made so many mistakes that I could have avoided if someone had told me, if someone had said, don't do this, don't do that, you know? I've done a lot of things that I shouldn't have. I took a long way when I shouldn't, but I've also learned, you know? But there are a lot of pain that I went through in my journey that if I could help another woman avoid that same pain, you know, avoid those same mistakes. Because I see now the things I do now. Now, again, I'm still learning. Yeah. There's, you know, every level there's learning. With every level you unlock, there's learning. But I see now from where I came from, if I had someone to hold my hand, the way I tried to hold other people's hand, I would have I would have gotten there a lot quicker, I believe. Yeah. You know, I would have gotten there a lot quicker. So the way I share, for me, I've decided to be brave. Because there is strength in being bold and brave. Yeah. There is power, but there's also change and growth in being brave. Yeah. You know, I'm pretty sure everyone in the audience here, I can ask you if when you've been brave and said, okay, I feel the fear and I'm going to do it, you haven't regretted it. Even if you failed, you actually learned something. Yeah. When we were setting up this thing, everyone was like, oh my God, we're putting so much into it. What if I'm walking down there and I literally fall flat on the face? I stand up, I dust myself off. What's the worst that can happen? You all laugh and we move on. You know, and I know a lot of people, and I know a lot of people come to me and say, I feel the fear and stuff, and I get it. We all do. Trust me, I'm sitting here, I'm shaking in my boots. Doesn't look like it because I've become really good at covering up, but I really am.
It really doesn't look that way.
I really am. Guys, this is not what I was supposed to say when I had a whole thing in my head, then I get nervous and I forget and I yabba, yabba, yabba. So I have no idea where these words are coming from, but they're coming. So, you know, so this is not what I had planned to say at all. So let's move on.
Happens to all of us, by the way.
I like what you said about there's so many things that come from being brave, and there's a reason why they say fortune favors the brave. Yeah. So I'm always like, everyone feels scared, but like you can either be scared or you can be rich, because everyone wants to be rich. We're all trying to make money, you know? So I'm always like, okay, so is the fear of, looking like a fool going to, there's also the fear of poverty. Hey. We are afraid of poverty, and for me that is the worst fear. So all these other fears are just like, it's like we're just going to do it, we're just going to try, because there's fortune there in being brave.
100%. Yeah. So you can either be scared or be rich. Put it on a t-shirt, guys, because yes, it is a word. Has she not spoken a word? But speaking also of taking risks, I feel like in this new era, because we've really like embraced self-love, I'm loving me, I'm doing me. And how has that factored into you taking those risks, like deciding that I'm going to be brave no matter what? And also, I don't want you guys also to think that now we are saying being brave because we don't get scared. I'm glad actually when Claire shared what she shared, because like sometimes you just see us on the screen and you don't know that we did the intro like 3 times before we got it right. Side-eyeing nyonyos. But we absolutely have that fear every day. It's just that every day you wake up and you decide, and you know what? This one is not going to win because I fear being poor also. Thank you. But so how has just loving you factored into taking those risks?
For me, I think loving myself meant one day I woke up and I realized that no one was coming to save me. Yeah. Mm. Ladies and gentlemen, no one is coming to save you. Not your wife, not your mother, not your siblings, boss, nothing.
Can we get an amen?
So,
amen.
So I understood that I had to save myself. Like I had to literally reach down and hold my hand, you know, and lift myself up and just walk this journey. So for me, that like it was, I loved myself enough to push myself out of whatever comfort zone, the fear of what will they say, they are going to talk about you. Are you the one in newspapers today? No. Flips edges. But anyway, no one is coming to save us, and it's something that we have to really do on our own.
True that.
Unfortunately.
Okay. And one thing I've realized that society really hates women who love themselves, because women who love themselves are so powerful.
Yeah.
You know, like when you can't come and tell me, oh, by the way, you're fat, and then, you know, it's like, so now I didn't know, but now you've told me, thank you. You know, like where is that taking you? And you find a lot of times the people who insult you or troll you or shame you are people who, when they look at you, they feel so triggered by the fact that you have decided to love yourself, despite the things that for them it's like, oh, I can't imagine that if I was your size or if I had your hair or lack of edges that I would love myself. But them seeing you love yourself, they're like, how dare you? And it's like, how can you think you're better than us? You're just loving yourself the way that you are, you know. And because they are not willing to do the work to love themselves, it's annoying and upsetting and triggering for you to see you love yourself. So once you stand in that power, it's like now no one can. Sorry, I feel like now no one can tell you anything, you know, because everything that you could use against me, I already know about myself. Sorry. I feel like everything that you could use against me, I already know and feel about myself. So if it's something that is genuinely negative, like, okay, maybe I'm a horrible person, maybe I'm really mean, I probably know that about myself because I've done the work to, you know, self-reflect, and I'm working on it. So there's nothing, as you're saying, that they can use against you that you don't already have as like me. I already know it. I own it, you know?
Yeah. There's also that thing. I don't know how many business women are here? Have you ever tried to sell a product to a friend of yours and they said something like, oh my God, I always wanted to do this. And then you go back and ask this person for some advice and like, I really think it won't work out. You understand? Yeah, so someone is so uncomfortable seeing you live out their dreams, do something that they only made a wish about and probably noted down, and it didn't come to fruition, and they're seeing you do it. So what kind of advice do you expect this person to give you? Like, oh, don't do that business. You understand? And most times, if you don't take the risk on yourself, you listen and say, oh, my friend said that poetry won't work out. Or my friend said that I can't sell makeup. There's so many, you know, cosmetic stores or something like that. But we forget that our blessings are personal, and that's just it. Yeah.
If that's not a word of encouragement, our blessings are personal, okay? But I know Claire wants to say something about this as well. How self-love has factored into you just being the risk taker that you are.
For me, I don't want to be poor. I like to afford nice things. Yeah. So, that's my self-love. Like, why would I jump Miala to get to my home?
Thank you. That's a very simple answer that people are
like
feeling.
To eat nice food, and I know my husband and I had a bit of a, you know, so I'll go to the supermarkets and I'll buy the tomatoes in the supermarkets and whatnot, and you know, not in the market. I have not been to a market in years. Oh, wow. So if I'm doing the shopping, I do it in the supermarket. Do you know what I mean? I like my comfort. So I'm not a billionaire. I wish I was. I probably should look into that a little bit. My husband has got that sorted. But do you know what I mean? I like comfort. So if I'm going to have to push people in a market to buy tomatoes, I'd rather pay 3K more for a tomato in the supermarket. That's just me, and I'm not ashamed of it. You know? And I know a lot of people will be like, but you can... I'm like, look, believe me, you do you. And I do me. Do you know what I mean? So for me, that's where my self-love is. I do not do discomfort.
Baby girl has refused to suffer in this life, okay? Baby girl is not suffering in this life. Love that for you, sis. I guess I should also answer that question. I think when it comes to taking... The reason why I've chosen to take the risk that I've taken in my life is because I just didn't want to be unhappy, period. I was tired of being in a dead-end job that I don't like, that in which I am not growing. You know when you like hate something so much that you even don't be nice to people? Yeah. I'll just be there and I'm like... I don't... You know, you just don't even like them. People, they said, you know what, I don't want to be unhappy. And I think even when I left, because my countenance is so different from what I was there, even me, I could just feel myself like changing. And I think even those people, if they met me now, they wouldn't recognize who I am because I'm very, very different from the person that I was becoming there. And I was just like, you know what, I love myself too much to stay and stay and stay. And then 10 years have passed and this is my life. No, I said, no, please, no, please. And if there is someone out there who is feeling those feelings, I pray that you release yourself because actually there are things out there. Not to say they're easy, but they're there.
I feel like there's also this one. We're young right now. This is the time to do this stuff, guys. This is the time. And the truth is, for me, I'd rather I do something and regret it now than not do it in 10 years and be like, what was life? Like those last 10 years were then for what? Does that make sense? So for me, I just don't want to look back in my life and have been stuck in a dead-end job. I've wanted to do this my entire life. Ask my mom. She's right there. You know?
Hi, Mom.
I've wanted to do this my entire life. But if you saw me 3 years ago, I didn't have this kind of courage. And I didn't do it. I couldn't have done it. If you told me 2 years ago that I was going to be sitting here hosting a live show with, first of all, Joanne, you know, and we have a YouTube show that's now the most popular in Uganda, I'd have laughed you out the room. You know, I really would. But now I think to myself and I'm like, okay, if I had remained in the place I was 2 years ago, I'd be so miserable because the truth is I've never felt freer. I've never felt happier. My life is out there. People are calling me fat. People are calling me all sorts of things. I don't care. I'm happy. I'm free. You know, I'm making a little bit more money. Not that much yet, but do you know what I mean? And I'm hoping to make more. And so what I'm trying to say here is if you're afraid now, yeah, of something that you want to do, think 10 years. Just close your eyes and think 10 years from now, if I don't do what I have to do what I want to do, what would you be thinking to yourself? Because I bet you, if you're 30 now at 40, you look back and be like, I wasted my entire 30s being afraid. Because I'm telling you that fear you feel now, you won't feel it when you're 40. Yeah? You won't feel it when you're 40. When you're 40, you'd be like, you know how we feel fat now? And you look back at pictures when you're 20 and you're like, hey, but I wish I was fat like I was fat then. And then you used to feel fat. That's exactly what's going to happen. So when you fear at 20, when you get to 30 and be like, I wish I could go back when I was that younger. I could have done it. I had a lot more time. Yeah. You know what I mean? So that's for me, that's my encouragement to you, that think of 10 years from now, do not make a decision that you will regret not having done something. Yeah.
Oh, love that. I hope you guys have written that exercise in your book. So when you reach home, you start now thinking about the you of 10 years from now and how you'll be feeling about those risks you're trying not to take.
Fiona, can I say one thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
And I think they should use retinol.
Well,
Yeah, but I think what Claire is saying also applies to not just from a career point of view, but literally anything in life. Maybe you've been thinking of cutting your hair, but you haven't. Or there's this guy who you guys have been looking at each other for 5 years. Now, by now, if you had talked to him 5 years ago, you would now be married with twins. But now you're still not talking to each other as we are speaking. And maybe all it takes is just a hi or, introducing yourself or can we go for a drink kind of thing. You know, it literally, sometimes the dream just seems so far away that you're just like, where do I start? But sometimes it just starts with a hi. Sometimes it just starts with you've always wanted to have a farm. It just starts with Googling farms in Uganda. You know, it starts with like the smallest thing, the smallest step towards achieving that dream. That's actually what bravery is being able to stand up from where you are and taking one small step towards the thing that you actually want.
Ooh, feeling inspired out here. Are you guys also feeling it in the air? Oh, yeah, even me. But you guys have actually gotten into what I was going to talk about next is just risking it all as a business, as a brand. And Joanne has built such a successful brand. As in, for us, we see you and we are like, the goal is there where Joanne is, that's where I want to go. And I don't know what's that look like for you. And I also want to assume that all of you are familiar with her content or her platforms, but she's just done such a fantastic job of building this brand. And I think it would even be just nice do you guys want to hear a little bit about Joanne?
I'm sorry that you guys have to hear this story again because I gave it yesterday, but here we
We love it.
So I mentioned to them yesterday that when I became a content creator, it wasn't what I intended to do. I didn't want to become famous. I didn't want to be an influencer or a content creator. I literally started, I'm suffering in fame. I don't know why I have all this money.
Famous people problems.
Yeah, no, but it's something I started doing it. I started posting things about the things that I wanted to talk about. I was trying to build a community around me where there were like other mothers who are going through the same issues of breastfeeding and, your child has a fever every other day and whatnot, and, marital struggles. And I started posting and people started following me. And before I knew it, I was making money. And then I started making more money than I was making at my job. And I was like, let me quit and, do this full time. And so since that was end of 2018, so it's been about 3.5 years now. And I can honestly say that it's gotten better and better. And one thing that I've realized about life and I guess this ties to bravery, is that the more that you put into that dream that you have, or the more that you put into that thing that you want to work, the more you will get out of it. It's like going to the gym. You can't lie to your body that you worked out if you didn't work out. Exactly the number of sit-ups that you sat up is the number of is that much closer to the abs that you'll get. If you don't do the work, then you're not going to get the payoff. And for me, I've noticed that the more authentic I am, the more my platform grows. And a lot of people, when I ask them why do they follow me, it's the authenticity. Because there are tons of content creators who can post about an earring or about hair or about, their kids or whatever. But it's that authenticity of being like, I'm struggling or I don't like this thing, something that makes it relatable to other people. And having been in the industry, even the short time that I've been, the content creators that I've seen grow are the ones who are authentic, not the ones who have the best cameras or the ones who have the best production team. It's the ones who are just authentic. And people can always tell, guys can tell. They can tell when you're pretending. They can tell when you're trying to paint a picture of yourself or your life or your family that is not what it actually is. And for me, that, like, being able to stay authentic makes content creation and my job so easy for me, because I don't see it as like a job. I'm just living my life. I'm just living my life and posting pictures and videos about
Must
it.
be nice.
It's really quite nice. It's really quite nice. Sometimes actually I wake up and I'm just like, wow, I could actually just be lying here in bed all day and I'm making money. And it's great. And I would never have been able to do that if I went online and I was like, oh, let me not show people that I'm struggling, or let me not talk about that I wasn't able to breastfeed my child, or let me not talk about painful periods that I'm experiencing. If I decided not to do that, then I would not be making the money and living the life that I'm living right now. So in fact, when people are like, oh, you're so lucky, I'm like, no, I'm not lucky. I work hard, I work smart, and that's why I deserve and have been able to achieve what I've been able to achieve today. And I personally just feel like we live in such an amazing time right now. With social media, anyone can be a millionaire. Anyone can be a billionaire. It's as close to me as it is to you, as it is to you. It's just like, what are you doing with that internet space? Because we all have the same internet space, except Beyonce. She has more than all of us.
Of course.
It's Beyonce's internet. But the part of Beyonce's internet that we have, we all have the same, and we can all choose to do something with it that brings us closer to our dreams or takes us further away from our dreams. So yeah, so my life is great, I could say. My life is
Guys, can you sit there and
my
be
life
like,
is
my life
great.
is great?
Yeah. And
That's the goal,
Yeah, and when I say that, by the way, I don't feel like I'm bragging, because I feel like everyone can create a great life for themselves. Yes. And I feel like it's not even about being, you can have a great life as a lawyer, a great life as a designer, a great life as a, whatever it is, an entrepreneur, or, anything like that. It just depends on what is your outlook, which starts, of course, with the self-love, self-acceptance, and doing the things that you actually just want to do, as opposed to what your mom has told you to do or what society expects you to do.
Oh, love it. Okay, Claire, go ahead.
I also feel that that self-love and being bold, we tend to do what other people are doing, so that takes our own self-love away, and we do what we're not comfortable doing. You see, Joanne has created a brand that is only her. Like, there's no other person doing what Joanne is doing. And I know in society has kind of trained us to copy paste. Yeah? Like, okay, Claire is doing it. Okay, Claire has the green bags. I'm also going to sell the green bags. This one is doing this. I'm also going to sell that. But what I want to encourage you ladies is that what feels right for you is what you do. No textbook is going to show you how to be successful in business. You know, I am the most business illiterate human being you've ever met. I do not know these business terms. I don't know them. I'm just going by my intuition, what comes naturally to me, you know, and being bold in it. People will not understand why I'm doing business the way I'm doing it. You've seen me advertise my school. Yeah, my school doesn't look anything like other schools. You know, I am doing very much a play-based and stuff like that, and I show all that. But I've done my school my sister and I have done our school in our way. Does that make sense? In a way that, and we're advertising it, and people can see the passion that we have. People can see the goal that we want. You know, we are really showing. We're not showing tables and chairs. We're actually showing what the value that we're giving. We're giving value, but in our own way. Does that make sense? So we're not just promising your child is going to learn maths and science and whatnot. You know, we're doing it in a whole other way that is natural to us, you know? And that's what advertising yourself, building your brand is, something that comes naturally to you. You could be selling anything. Anything. There's nothing you cannot sell on this earth. Yeah? I sold a business list. Yeah? And ideas of business ideas. And I sold it. And up till now, it's my most successful product. Yeah? I made so much from it. It's a list, you guys. If you had told me the day before I sold it that I was going to sell it the way I've sold it, I'd have laughed at you. You can sell anything. Brand it. But you are the brand. But before you are the brand, you need to be bold. You know, you need to love yourself and accept yourself and put yourself out there and be like, yes, this is Claire. Take it or leave it. There are people who don't like me. There are people who do. The ones who do buy. The ones who don't move on. You know? So I hope that that kind of translates to you guys that you're the brand. Be bold in your brand. There can never be another you. You can never make yourself into another way other than the way you are. You know? And if you try, you will die trying. Yeah.
I think you guys know that this woman is passionate about this business thing. We are seeing it, no? You see it even in her body language. But speaking of authenticity and, you know, just being like your original self, I want to ask Nyonyo, because I know, like, you did this content thing, you got famous. I know you don't like to hear it, but you're famous. You got famous, and and I know, and it has its pros and cons. I mean, let's be real. Taking risks is a wonderful thing, but it has its cons. There's nothing like until now you're there and life is just wonderful. Everything's just easy. So, what are some of those like difficult things when it comes to taking risks? It doesn't even have to be necessarily in content creation. Even other risks you've taken in your life. What are those hard parts? Like, what's tough that you want the people to know?
For me, I think it heartbreak is actually real. In business, in life, things not going how you expected them. Then there's inadequacy, feeling inadequate, trying. Most times when we sit here and talk about taking risks and all that, there's someone who will be like, "Oh, this is just overrated." Like, hard work is overrated, you know, taking risks is overrated. Like, we could all sit here and say that, you know what, because so many of us actually work hard. You feel like you're putting in your everything, but things are not changing. You get, so you could do all those things. Like, okay, they say that I need to work hard. Yes, you come early to work. If it's business, you open early, you do what, and things are sort of not changing. So those are some of the challenges. The challenge that you feel like you're staying in the same place year after, you know, another. And, you know, you're seeing other people just soaring past you, just, you know, going past you. So having to sit down and have that difficult conversation with yourself, that my timing is totally different. And my things will come when they come. So for me, those are some, I think, of the challenges that, you know, you face in the industry, in business. And I think we've had this discussion before that it's such a lonely journey. the entrepreneurship journey is so lonely. We could all sit here and say, we are influencers. That that's what brings us together. We are business women. That's what brings us together. But there are those times you go to bed alone and just feel like the numbers are not numbering. Why aren't the accounts, changing, and why aren't they looking like so and so's accounts? Yeah. So such days are there. The only difference is that you wake up the following day and you still try again.
Yeah,
Keep trying.
I feel I'm always telling people when they ask me like, hey, you took this leap from employment to now employing yourself and stuff, and I'm so mindful of people thinking that it's super romantic and just like lovely, and we're just like chilling and we're just like wearing nice clothes and being amazing, and it's not that those things aren't there, but it's such a small, it's just like one side of things. It's difficult and it's challenging, and there's so many things you don't even expect, like even little things, like that there are trolls out there, but then that day you're trolled, you're like, huh, like someone is out there just hating me, what's the problem? It throws you off. And in any area of life, when you take a risk, I think the expectation should never be that it's going to be rosy and just lovely. There's so many things that you're going to face, and that's not a bad thing, because it's the paradox of purpose. In purpose there's always pain. So it's going to happen. And so let me know, I'm not taking credit for that coward. I also learned it somewhere, but the truth resonated deeply. Okay. But
Can I add to? Sorry, let me add to what she said. Also, when you take risks, like no one wants to look like a fool, but when you're being brave and you're taking a risk, there's an element of you might end up looking like a fool. I mean, every time you come and you're like, oh guys, I'm about to launch a new product, there's some part of you which is obviously thinking, oh God, I might launch it. Everyone will be like, but what the hell is that? Like you saw and thought of that as a whole 32-year-old woman, you thought of that. It's like, but the reality is that those people who are sitting at home judging them, they have not done anything. But so at least, even if you come with your dumb idea, at least there's an idea, and you have to start somewhere, and you will be like, you do your 3 dumb ideas, by the time you get to the 4th one, wow, now we got it, But if you never actually try to now launch that idea, you'll never actually get anywhere. So obviously, but looking like rejection is difficult. And anytime you're trying to be brave and you're trying to like risk it all, there's a risk of rejection. It's stuff like when you guys are planning this and you're approaching all these brands, and some of them are just like, but your name is Claire who? Or like unpopular what? It's like, it feels bad, at some point you just like, you're fighting back the tears and you're like, it's fine. It's fine, but is it? It's not fine, and you go cry to your husband at home. But like the next day, as you said, you just wake up and you put on a brave face and you just keep trying. Yeah. And it's in that constant trying, the person who stays the course is the one who gets the rewards, because there's someone who will just stop after day, I don't know, 2, and then they're just like, but you went until day 10, and now day 11, kumbe, that's where the place where now actually the rewards are reaped. So yeah, you just have to keep trying, you just have to keep pushing. Yeah. And especially now, sorry, let me just say, in like the age of content creation, for example, so many people are trying to be content creators, like, and there are so many people who are trying to, I don't know, sell jewelry, if that's what you do, or sell makeup. But if you're meant to do that thing, there's space for you. Because I always say, like, when you go to the supermarket and you see bread, there are like 100 bread companies, and all of them are there stocked in the supermarket, and at the end of the day, all the bread will finish. So it's like, if that person said, oh, I'm not gonna start my bread company because there are so many, then now you're just missing out on money. And again, do you want to be poor? Ask yourself.
The question we're returning to every now and then. But when you talked about the bread analogy, I thought about even just like us as content creators. I feel like you're such a great example of the fact that succeeding, right? Like helping because she's done, she's where she's at in her career, and it doesn't, like her helping, for example, us, her being a part of what we are doing, or helping any other woman or man or anybody else that's doing something similar, doesn't reduce her at all. It doesn't take away from her success. If anything, it probably even makes her more successful. Like I don't know. I think that sometimes, and not like to badmouth anyone, because I know that sometimes bad things just come to your mind and then you do a bad thing. But stop yourself. Helping someone who's doing something similar doesn't actually reduce you. We can collaborate in our things, and our channel is such a good example of that, because individually we could have never built the type of platform that we built. It was only possible because there's 3 of us. That's like a fact that we discuss almost daily. There's just no way. So I hope, like, even when you see us, like, you think, you think about who you want to collaborate with next. It doesn't have to be 1 million people. It could be just the one or whatever, but there's someone out there who you can make like real magic with, like real magic, and to be amazing. But that's like a side note, but think about it. But talking about that, I think, yeah, this is actually going to go back to Murugi as well, because how have all the risks that you've taken for yourself enabled you to help other people?
Well, when it comes to other content creators, I personally never feel like it's like we are sharing. Like if I mention Claire and Claire gets followers, it's not like the 3,000 followers have left me to now go to Claire. They can be here and they can also be there. And one thing that you realize, especially as a woman, especially as a Black woman, especially as a Black African woman, the world is already rigged against you. It's like the chances of you succeeding are not the same as a white man, okay, in America. It's definitely not the same. So we can only win if all of us are supporting each other, you know, because if I am in a society where people think all Black African women are stupid, even if me, I know I'm smart, if the idea is that if Black African women are stupid, then I'm not going to get anywhere, because we are thought of as a group. So the stronger the group is, the stronger everyone is, then the easier it is for exactly the easier. And of course, that's not to like alienate men or whatever, but they haven't suffered like us, you know what I'm saying? They haven't suffered. I feel like for women, you're already trying to fight against the system which is rigged against you, you know? And it's like, okay, you go online and you'll take a picture in, let's say, a swimsuit, and everyone will be like, oh, how does your husband feel about this? You know, is he comfortable? But he can take a picture in nothing. No one will go and ask him, how does your wife feel about this? You know, no one will even bat an eyelid. In fact, it'll be like, wow, you're just living your life as a king. But you try, do it. You do it. You're a house help. You are nothing. You know what I'm saying? It's like, so you already are fighting against a system that feels like you as a mom should be this way. You as a wife should be this way. You know, you as a young lady, if you're unmarried or even if you're married, it's just like they have already put you in a box. So fighting against that box is like, you know, especially and because of plus size women, it's like a whole other thing. How dare you wear a skirt, a short skirt, and you are not thin? How dare you? You know, it's like the system just already has put you in this box. So if the more you fight, you're fighting for all plus size women in Africa. It's not just for Prim. And the more that we do that, the more that we do things that push the bounds, the easier it is for everyone else, you know. I want, if my younger sister, I have a younger sister who's 19, I want that if she decides to be a content creator, that because people have seen me go before and they've seen me post in my lingerie, that when she posts it, it's not so bad, because it's like, you know, others are doing it, you know, other people are doing it and everyone is comfortable. And the more we fight for each other and hold hands and we're all doing it, and not just in content creation, as a businesswoman or as a lawyer or as a doctor, the more that we just decide we just want to be how or who we are, the easier it is for everyone else. And don't we just want things to be easier for everyone else? Yes. Like me, if women just didn't have to suffer, like, God, life would just be, it pains me. It would just be so great. Yeah.
Let me, that was actually just taking me straight to Prim, because Prim, you've created such a space for plus size women to just feel really empowered and beautiful, and not these things of then you go to the shops and they're only giving you the bad clothes. I still remember going like downtown when we would be in Galilaya and Prim is asking for things and I should be like, Nedda, don't give me those ones, the ones you kept for fat people. I want to see everything. And she's just managed to create a space where plus size women just feel good. And I think like I want to know how you feel like that your risk has made other people feel really, really good about themselves.
Yeah. So first of all, I think I've shared this before. I never really suffered esteem issues until I was older, because to my father, there is no more beautiful person that ever existed. You all know my name is Nyonyozi. That means stars. Murungi, beautiful. Because I was Murungi at first, but my mom tells me later, he realized it, but that's not enough.
She's shining as well.
Let us add Nyonyozi. So that's a name that was added when I was a few months later, you know? So I didn't really suffer with self-esteem. My dad was amazing. So for the men in the house, do your daughters a favor. Do your daughters a favor. So by the time my dad died, you could not tell me anything in this world. You couldn't. And I went to a good school. I went to Buranyanji. And every girl there was beautiful. Every girl there was beautiful. And everyone was just minding their business. There's never a day that I had those girls say things like, who is the most beautiful? Who do you think is the most beautiful person in our class? Brenda, did you ever do something like that? Everyone just really looked very beautiful. Saturdays, So until I came to the Central in Makerere University, and I remember the second week someone telling me, we were voting for the prettiest freshers, and they said, you'd be pretty, now you're fat. That's the first time I said, hey, it's a thing? That's the first time I think I ever had that. I wasn't really suiting the right
like the profile.
Description and profile of a beautiful woman. But the fact that obviously my dad laid a very, very, very firm foundation with very good retaining walls and iron bars and concrete. There's not much you could do to me or say to me to make me feel a certain way. Do I have bad days? Surprisingly, I do. Do I have days where I feel my esteem is very low? Do I go through that? Those days are there. But about 90% of the time, I feel awesome. I feel like, guys, most times I wish you guys could all just first sit, then I walk in later as like a hot person. But somehow life doesn't allow me. But one of the things that I've also told myself is that I'm never the person who walks into a room while bent. Like, that thing of let me just find a set. I'm bold. I walk in very straight. And life is for the bold. It doesn't even have to be about your weight. It doesn't have to be about your acne. It doesn't have to be about where you come from. It doesn't have to be about anything. You have to be bold. There's just no other way around it. You have to be bold. You have to literally lift your shoulders in every aspect of life. You can't be the person at work who does really good work and you let your boss take the credit. You let your colleagues take the credit. You have to literally raise your hand and say, yes, I did that. Lots of people will be very uncomfortable, but it will pay off. You can't be the person who comes up with an invention. Lately, we have lots of startups. You tell your friend the idea, and then they steal it and go and fly with it, and they give you a partnership, a percentage of partnership, and you settle with that. You can't be that person. Life is for the bold. We are all here today because we chose to be bold. The reason you guys are here is because we chose to be bold. We didn't care if we're going to talk to chairs. Trust me, I was going to encourage those chairs. I was going to give them speeches until the sun goes down. But you have to be bold. I know that life tries to box us in. Society does not like to see you soaring. Society is what most of us would actually be doing very well. You would not know that your skin is uneven. You would not know. But society is the one that tells you, right? You would not know that you're short. But society is the one that tells you, but by the way, you're short. You would not know those things. It's like you are living your life happily. Then society came along and said, your hair is thin. You get? Like you were happily living your life, taking risks and everything. Then society tried to put you in a box. So we are like sponges and we absorb these things. But just as much as we absorb, these things, we can also squeeze out the things that, like you squeeze a sponge and let them out. Life is for the bold. I am telling you, we have no other option. Ladies and gentlemen, we can only be bold or bold. Period. In workplaces, in businesses, in our marriages, in our friendships, we gotta be bold. For me, each time I see a fat girl on a border, dressed nice, you guys, I peep. I'm like, who is that? I'm like, I imagine this person follows me. When I see her walking in, when I see a woman looking good walking in, I'm like, who is that person? I imagine this person follows me, and in one way or another, they picked a leaf. In one way or another, they love themselves and they embraced their flaws. Each time I see a woman happy, I'm like, I'm always waiting for, hi, Nyonyozi, I follow you on Instagram, because I know that's the impact that I have created. And most times I get it. Most times I do get it. So life is really for the bold, and I really, really hope that each of you decides to be bold.
Hey, she has put a full stop. Should we stop there?
Nah.
But and anyway, all of you you're doing things that are moving people, and like your risks are actually encouraging people to do better, become boss babes. Because you guys, like, be honest, how many of you like have been inspired by Claire to just boss this thing up? And let's be honest, not just women, even men are inspired by this woman. This woman will, she will sit you down and remind you of why you are a boss. And you're like, no, I'm actually the queen of everything. And you walk out there and you